You know the feeling. You're working on a mix, and it lacks physical impact. The snare sounds soft. The acoustic guitar sits totally flat. The drums feel like they are sitting behind a blanket instead of driving the song forward. The immediate instinct is to reach for a compressor to make things hit harder. But if the goal is more punch, compression often destroys the very edge you are looking for. It clamps down on the loud peak and brings up the tail, frequently swallowing the impact. Transient shaping solves this by ignoring volume thresholds entirely. It allows you to manipulate the physical shape of the sound envelope directly. Every percussive sound has a two-part life cycle. The first fast burst of energy is the attack, the crack of the stick hitting the drumhead. Everything that follows is the sustain. Your ear uses that first spike to judge rhythm and distance. A taller, sharper attack creates a sense of aggression and closeness. The sustain represents the ring of the drum shell, the rattle of the snare wires, or the room tone hanging in the air after the hit. Creating punch requires reshaping these two phases to explicitly control where the listener's attention goes in the mix. Step 1. Open your DAW and load a mix with drums and rhythm guitars. Find the densest section of the song, typically the chorus, and set your loop markers there. Insert a transient shaping plugin onto the snare track or the main drum bus. Avoid using the solo button during this process. Impact is relative. A snare that sounds powerful in isolation might disappear when guitars and bass are added. You need to hear how the transients interact with the other instruments in the track. Step 2. With the full track playing, slowly increase the attack parameter on the snare. Listen for the snare crack to sit on top of the speakers. Keep turning the attack up until the sound becomes harsh and fatiguing. Find the limit to find the sweet spot. Now, back the dial off until a harshness disappears, leaving maximum usable impact. Step 3. Focus on the sustain control to manage the tail of the drum. Lower the sustain to gate out messy room ring or cymbal bleed. This tightens the groove and prevents the drums from washing over the other instruments. If you reduce the sustain to 0, the drum will sound synthetic and disconnected from the track. Removing the clutter in the tail creates the space required for the attack to hit with more perceived force. Step 4. Level match the processed signal. Increasing attack makes the track louder. Because the ear interprets loudness as higher quality, you may be fooled into thinking the processed version is better. Lower the plugin's output gain fader until the processed track matches the volume of the bypass track. Toggle the plugin on and off at this equal volume. This forces you to evaluate whether you actually improved the tone and impact, or if you were just chasing a louder signal. This comparison ensures your mixing decisions are based on the actual shape of the sound. Step 5. You can also use this tool in reverse to push elements into the background. If an acoustic guitar has an overpronounced scratchy pick noise that distracts from the vocal, the attack is likely too high. Apply a negative attack value to soften that physical pick edge while leaving the body of the chords intact. If the guitar also has a boomy, lingering resonance that muddies the lower mid-range, the sustain is the culprit. Gently reduce the sustain to tighten the rhythmic strumming. This demonstrates the bidirectional nature of the tool. It allows you to tuck supporting instruments into the background without reaching for heavy EQ. We can now evaluate the total impact on the entire song section. Listen to the bypassed original mix. The song plays flat. The kick and snare lack definition, and the acoustic guitar feels detached. Now we activate the transient shaping. The song plays with processing. The snare crack is immediate, and the low-end resonance is controlled. Managing the transient envelope improves the way a mix translates across different playback systems. When the kick and snare occupy their own rhythmic space, the groove remains clear on everything from studio monitors to car speakers and phones. Open a current project and try substituting a compressor with a transient shaper on a problematic drum or guitar track. Focus specifically on the impact of the attack and the cleanliness of the sustain to take deliberate control over your mix.